Hello everybody, this is Louie and welcome to Battlefield 2042. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the game is finally out for those who pre-ordered the Gold and Ultimate bundles, with players who got the Standard Edition having access on November the 19th. I could not help myself and decided to spend on the Gold bundle in order to play early, only to get my PS5 fixed before launch and having to experience the game on last gen, with my trusty old PS4. So today I'm going to share with you my first impressions and experience of Battlefield 2042 with last gen. I think this can be helpful to a lot of players as the shortage for PS5s is still going on and showing no sign of slowing down. But before we get started, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel and tell me your thoughts on Battlefield 2042. So without further ado, let's get started. At the start of the game, Battlefield 2042 starts you off with some exposition on the world of 2042, with a short cutscene, and then drops you off in a game of conquest against bots. I really appreciate this as it gives you time to adjust your settings as you need them, and allows new players unfamiliar with Battlefield's mechanics to get a better idea of the game, without feeling pressured to do well right away against real people. Overall, the game feels like a spiritual successor in tone and feel to Battlefield 4, and I'm sure a lot of players will be extremely happy about that. It works fairly well on PS4 with stable frame rates for the most part, though I noticed that there were some issues with rubber banding, which I'm not sure if it's caused by netcode or frame rate itself. It doesn't make the game unplayable, so it doesn't bother me too much. We have 22 gun choices for all-out warfare, including handguns, which for a launch seems pretty minimal, but the attachments are what's gonna keep players busy, as attachments are unlocked the more you level up your mastery of a weapon. Along with attachments, you also get skins when you level up your gun, giving you more incentive to focus on that weapon. I wasn't really a fan of this system in Battlefield 4, but we'll see how it goes as I sink more time into this game. Map sizes and player counts, as expected, are reduced for last-gen consoles in order to maximize performance, and for the most part I'm fine with this. The size of the maps maximizes the number of players available, which allows action to take place without the slog of running great distances. Map textures when starting a match have some load times, but is not really too disruptive to the game. Texture quality though looks like it took a step back from Battlefield 5 somehow, as there are less details on everything. Maybe to offset the scale of the maps, but still makes me feel like I'm playing an older game sometimes. Gunplay had some improvements from the beta, and most especially noticeable for me is the improvement to sniping. Bullet velocity has been sped up since beta, but still feels a bit slow to me as compared to Battlefield 5. And as I've noticed from the beta, metaguns have now appeared in the form of the PBX and the LCMG. The PBX is super effective even for mid to long range engagements, and the LCMG has such low recoil and such high ammo count that it can get kills quite quickly. Movement is good for the most part, with some issues with mantling here and there. Sprint slide spamming is no longer a thing, as sliding can only be done during a tactical sprint, and sliding is now shorter and has a longer cooldown. Player counts on PS4 seem to be very high, speaking in the Southeast Asia region, and I noticed that it doesn't take long to fill up a match with players, even with crossplay off. I talked to some of my friends who were playing on the PS5 and they said they were having trouble filling servers, so they turned on crossplay and found matches where there are 10 people on console and 118 people on PC. And I kind of expected that, as again, we're still in a scarcity of PS5s worldwide. Specialists are here and it looks like they're here to stay, and for the most part I have no problem with them. You hardly notice people looking like each other as we have a bigger selection of specialists at launch, with McKay unlockable at rank 15 and Pike unlockable at level 25. For most of my playtime, I've stuck with the Specialist Angel, as I found his gadget and perk are very useful as a support role. He drops in a supply box that lets you resupply and change your loadout if you need to, so that's really cool. I haven't had a chance to play as the other specialists though, and so my impressions on them will be reserved for my next review. I didn't spend too much time on Portal as there were a lack of filled servers here in the Southeast Asia region, but from what I've played, it seems like it will be a good throwback mode for a lot of Battlefield veterans. I might play it every now and again when players a lot more creative than I am make some good modes that I can try out. And as for Hazard Zone, I haven't really touched that game mode yet. Not really a fan of Battle Royale type games, and I'm not really compelled to try it out. Might give it a shot, just to see how it plays, and we'll see how I like it from there. Moving on to some issues I have with the game. DICE has decided to do away with the traditional scoreboard for Battlefield, and opted to show squad stats instead. I feel like this was done in order to emphasize squad play and put less emphasis on your KD, but it doesn't really seem to work since older scoreboards on Battlefield games did more than that. It gave players an idea how well they were doing in the match and how much they were contributing to the team. It's not always the player with the highest KD that gets to the top of the scoreboard, but the player that plays the objective the most and supports their team the best. The lack of server browser for All Out Warfare is another confusing decision that DICE made, keeping it to just basic matchmaking, where you choose between Conquest and Breakthrough. I didn't really like this because matchmaking just keeps putting you back into games that you just left, either because you just played that map, or you're not a fan of it, or your team is down 500 tickets to 25 in ticket counts. I experienced this during my first 2 games where I played through a match on Orbital, which I didn't really want to because that was already in the beta and I'm already sick of it, but hey, first game. And on queuing for the next match put me in another game on Orbital. No, come on! I hate Orbital, come on dude, seriously? So yeah. Also, map rotations don't seem to be a thing as after playing a match, you get put back into matchmaking, which randomly picks another match for you. It's not my favorite system and I wish DICE would just give us back good old server browsers and playlists. I ran into some bugs which didn't allow me to revive players for some reason as their icon didn't show up on the UI. I feel like there are still issues with hit registration as bullet markers seem to be delayed by a little bit. So, overall first impressions on the full game is I like it. Overall gameplay and performance on PS4 is good, with some graphical glitches here and there, but nothing game-breaking or intrusive. Map sizes are good for last gen, and keeps the action going. Gun balance is okay for the most part, with some exceptions, and gun progression feels good and grindy without feeling like a chore. Player counts are nice and healthy on last gen, and crossplay expands that, allowing you to play with Xbox One players. Now, do I recommend you get this game right now on last gen? If you're on the fence about it, but you're a fan of Battlefield 4 mechanics and gunplay, and Battlefield 5's movement and team play, then this might be a good fit for you. Though if you guys are planning on getting a PS5 in the future, I'd recommend you guys get the digital version, as that comes in a bundle for both PS4 and PS5 versions. So this is more of a buyer beware type of deal. That being said, what do you guys think? Have you played 2042? Do you like it? Tell me in the comment section below, and thanks again for watching. This has been Louie, and I'll see you all on the battlefield.
Dead.